Did you happen to see Mr. Cotton or Mr. Eichhoff? Okay. That would be really appreciated. Thank you. Oh, here they come. Are there any issues we need to address before bringing in the jury?
I'll bring them up.
Thank you. Oh, are those the verdicts?
Yes. These are just the guilty ones for some reason.
It should be guilty, not guilty, guilty, not guilty, right in a row.
Oh, I think I gave them the back guilty.
Oh, I had them collated already. So I think the clerk thought they needed to be collated,
They needed to be clear.
but I had already printed them in order. And then you should have received earlier the jury instructions for you to start looking at when you have time. Okay. All right, please stand for the jury. We're back on the record. The appearances are the same. That's funny. You gave them all the guilty.
And I think that's totally.
Please be seated. The jury has returned to the courtroom. We're ready to begin the afternoon session. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Cayer, I remind you remain under oath. And then I think, thank you. Go ahead.
Hey, Mr. Cayer, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You want me to address you today as Mr. Cayer, Jake, or Jacob? How would you like me to talk to you?
Jake, preferably.
Jake? Okay. So, Jake, everything happened on June 7, 2016, and here we are in August of 2020, correct?
Correct.
How old are you now today?
30.
When this happened, you were 26. Sound right?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
So I think you said when you testified earlier that a lot of times passed by, years, months, days. Is that right?
Unfortunately.
And you waiting for this day and looking forward to this day. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Jake, do you think there's certain times that are really important in your life?
Is that like a broad question as a human being thing or me
Do you think
specifically?
today is an important day?
Yeah, I think it's a turning point for Wisconsin when I finally reveal everything that you guys are committing mass racketeering, and I have evidence of a lot of that too.
Okay. It's an important day, isn't it? Because you want to make sure that you say whatever you think is important to this jury. Isn't that why it's important today?
Yeah, but you're concealing a lot of what's going on, and I'm not being allowed to speak about it.
Okay. All right. So this is your one chance today, all right?
No. Because once we're done, I'm going to go through everything with 2020 other than an autopsy.
Okay.
We'll give it up online when I go home.
That's what you want. That's fine.
Yeah.
Why? I don't understand this. Why? I don't know if you have nicknames or something. Why did I see things where you're referred to as Jake Sambora? Sambora. What does that mean?
That is the URL to my Facebook, Jake Diplomatech, Sambora. But when I was making the Facebook, I was talking to someone about music, and they're like, well, you like guitars, and Sambora is a famous guitar person, so that's where it chose that name.
Oh,
I've never referenced as that anywhere else in my life.
That's why I just want to make sure what that was. Jake
Yeah.
Sambora is.
It's just the URL to the Facebook.
Okay. Right. So I listened to what you had to say earlier, and you indicated that you didn't kill Heesun Teague, you didn't kill Sabrina Teague, and that you did not stab Joel Kennedy. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And that is your story that you want to tell today. Is that right?
More than that, but you guys are trying to not allow it in.
Okay.
She has the same enemies as me, and they have a history of attacking her
Okay.
as well as attacking me.
All right. But basically, you didn't do it, right?
No, I did not.
Okay. Now, I want to go back to Tuesday, June 7th, 2016. You think for some reason you left your parents' house on Monday, June 6th, 2016? Is that right?
Did leave my parents' house the day before.
Okay. What time do you think you left your parents?
We usually have dinner between 4 and 6, usually more around 6, so it would have been around that area.
About 6 o'clock at night?
That should be roughly around it, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll went through total time lapse, maybe 6:30, because it's going halfway through dinner. So
And so you think you left Monday, so then basically there's about over 24 hours, 27 hours that's missing. Is that
Yeah.
right?
yeah, and at one point, my first attorneys, I asked them to see if they could get any video cams from street lamps to prove if they're, my assistant and where I am and where I'm not. But
Right.
they just lied to me the whole way and said, oh yeah, we got this, we did this, we found out who's threatening her and all this shit, and did nothing. So
What, we'll go with your version. You at least remember having dinner with your parents, and then there was an argument where you got mad at your dad, Alan. Is that right?
yeah,
And then, what is your mom's name?
I'd rather keep them out of this public thing.
What's her name? I'm not going to keep them out of it.
Yeah, my mom's name is Joan.
That's fine. And you said earlier, you love your mom. Is that right? Or you
Yeah,
care a lot about her?
yeah.
Okay. And you had a good relationship with your mom, but with your dad, it's a little different.
It's still, I'll love him, and if he was in trouble, I'd help him and whatnot.
Sure.
Just, I don't like how he has his viewpoints, but he's supported us and done everything he can, more than most fathers ever would, so.
He's more rigid thinking because of the military, and you said you're more of a free spirit type of person.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe your dad just doesn't understand you. Do you think that's true?
I don't know if it's not understanding because he's not dumb, but it's just, you're not allowed to have an opinion towards anything out of a certain spectrum, so there's no allowed to think in it.
So one of the things you remember is that after the argument with your dad, you remember your mom crying. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that really made you mad that you don't want to have to see your mom cry. Is that right?
I wouldn't say it made me mad. I think it's what, like I said, I was running on low fumes, energy, low everything. I think that's what just kind of dropped me, where the trauma just starts, my mind is no longer having recollection of stuff. Like I don't remember even biking.
But
So it's not mad, it's just like, what physically was still moving.
I thought you felt, when you saw your mom, you felt provoked
No.
and that your world was crumbling in your life then.
It's sad, it's disappointment, it's annoyed, it's irritated, it's a whole mix of everything other than happy. But it's not a provoked thing, this is really shitty. I can't say any 2 cents to stop the argument. My dad wants to perceive my life as whatever, because I'm trying to stop Dylan from hurting Wendy, but he views it as whatever.
What did you mean when you said that night after you left your parents' house, you couldn't keep the key in the cage any longer?
I'm a very poetic person, and a very deep thinker and stuff, so like you see throughout everything, when they get the chance to view all that last piece of evidence, that I'm assuming that, okay, maybe it's like a Jack in the Box, da-da-da-da-da, pop. Assuming that when it's not me. Because I'm being an honest person, like this is me freaking out and going somewhere, which makes no sense because I'm going somewhere else completely, other than this. So, there's a lot built underneath. Grandma just died.
Okay.
Dad's kicked me out of the family because I'm trying to fucking expose this corrupt or whatever, this little maggot-ass person, not Joel, not Sabrina, nothing. I haven't been able to see my sister. My sister's not doing good. There's the person I love, Wendy, is today, she barely has any teeth now. She has a track marks everywhere. She's been an independent person. Like, my life is falling to pieces, and I can't do anything about it.
When you say that you're making an example of a jack-in-the-box popping up, is that what you're meaning when you...
Off an assumption to, what I wake up in, like...
Okay. Is that what you mean when you are having all this anger build up and it just explodes that night? Is that what you're talking about?
Off an assumption to be that.
Well, I'm asking you if that's what you mean.
That's what I'm referencing, yes.
Okay.
I'm not saying referencing, oh, that's factual, what happened. I'm just referencing is what's going on. Is that what's going on?
Well, you talk about when you're at the hospital, there's this kind of a battle going inside you. Are you talking about a battle between good and evil inside yourself or something like that?
No, I guess a good example would be like, here's a puppy. It's a nice little puppy. You kick it in the face, you kick it in the face, you kick it in the face. Eventually it's going to bite that foot. So
Right.
it's not a battle with myself. It's a battle with containment, I guess you would call it. And not having jack shit of visualness, and that's really scary because I have a really good memory as it is. Like me, what is that type of thing? So like I said, it's a mix of poetic feelings.
Is that because you think a lot of the women in your life did things to you that made you angry?
I could care less about that. I've always moved on. Jess cheats on me? All right, here's all your stuff. Here's a car that I bought. Go ahead. Go, you want to screw stuff over? All right, go.
Okay.
I don't leave an exception over stuff.
Okay, that's what I don't understand, Jake, is it, you said something happens, you go on.
Yeah.
And why can't you go on from Nicole?
I did go on from Nicole. Me and Nicole split back in 2013 fall.
Right.
I lost my place. I got another job. I got a place in Seymour. I was with Wendy, working around with Wendy. How's that not moving on?
Well, one of the first things you were talking about in the hospital early on is you're worried maybe you hurt Nicole's family. So it
Yeah,
doesn't
because I'm
seem like
trying
you
to
moved
figure
on.
out what's going on. Who do I have enough animosity that would even cause something like that?
Right.
That's not there though. That's not that much animosity. I'm like, is it this? 'Cause I don't have any hate for anyone like that other than Dylan.
What about Wendy? Can't you go on from her?
If you have a recording in my hard drive where I vocally say to her, drunk, so straight from the heart, it's not me wanting to be with you as much as I like that, but you need to find someone better because this piece of shit is going to fucking put you on drugs. So is that saying, go ahead and find someone, drunk straight from the heart is not caring for someone? Then I don't know what is. Because there's people that have...
I'm sorry, you keep going, Jake.
Sorry. It was one last thing.
Yeah.
As human beings, a lot of us who have dreams, it's the ones that you can't control with your consciousness, or conscious awareness, you can't control with your awareness. It's been studies on that. Usually it's some type of event to occur that's not unnormal for us to know that. When I was incarcerated, before I got out, I had one of her dying, Wendy, and I was scared to death that was going to happen because her family's not that good to her. But I didn't know it was spiritual death then. So that's why it wasn't move on, oh, you can go date someone, I can't go date someone. It was, I don't want to know this person dying later because of some fucking maggot that wants to put her on drugs because she has a kid with him and you don't want to pay up.
It doesn't sound like you've moved on.
You're making it appear that way. Like I said, there's a recording you guys have in my hard drive. You want to play it? Play it because it proves opposite of what you're saying.
Okay. What about moving on from Sabrina?
Sabrina Teague?
Sabrina Teague,
An ex from high school.
right?
How's that? I have a timeline of exits. You want me to bring them all? She has, I don't know how many exits. I don't keep track of life. How is that not moving on?
Okay. Well, I'll get to that in a moment. I'll ask you some more questions.
Okay.
This is like what you said at the hospital. What you said, okay?
Okay.
After you left on your bike, riding your bicycle, listening to Hollywood Undead, it was like a wave of hell, sadness, fucking everything. It's the anger. You remember saying that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And you talk about trying to keep that key locked up. You said, I was consumed by hate, pain, and suffering. You're consumed by it. And that's what you told the police, is that right?
Correct.
You got to watch the video
Correct.
and audio. You've watched them a lot of times, right?
Get on with your point.
I'm getting there. Then you said it was like my subconscious was battling myself. That's why I thought you had this battle going on in yourself between the good Jake and the bad Jake. What do you mean
No.
by your subconscious was battling itself at night?
I already explained that earlier.
You did?
Yes, I did just a little bit ago. We talked about the Jack in the Box. That was my assumption of it. My assumption of those words and how I'm perceiving them.
Okay. Why, when you remember Sergeant Holschbach, you said I guess he was nice to you when he talked to you. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And when you were talking about this wave of hell and the anger that you were consumed with that night, he asked you, why are you so angry? And you said, because of women treating me like shit.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yes, but there was a different portion of that, so...
Well, there's more to the story?
No, I had my one place for 3 years, an apartment. After the case with Nicole, I no longer had an apartment. I never had an issue getting a job, ever. And that became a thing after that. And then meeting Wendy, who was an alcoholic, it just kind of getting stupid. So it's not women and attack a woman thing. My foundation of my life is harder because of that area. So it's not like, oh, women suck, fuck them type of thing. It's because of the foundation piece to keep going with my life. It makes it much more difficult.
Okay. At the hospital, we were talking to Sergeant Holschbach. You said, after talking about the anger, I'm not sure how it got out, but something got out for sure.
They can go through that whole thing. It's assumption.
Well, I'm going to ask you, what do you mean by that?
I just told you. All of it's assumption.
What did you mean when you said that? Let's not assume anything. What did you mean when you said
No, that's me assuming, waking up covered in blood, not knowing what's going on, knowing that I do have enough energy in me. Oh, it must be that. So that's the words that comes out.
Well, I don't want you to assume. I want you to say what you meant by it.
That's what it was. It wasn't all factual, this is what it is, I'm speaking it. There's, something, that must be what, that's what made those words come out my mouth.
Okay. When you were riding that bike and listening to the music that Holly Run Dead, what were you feeling when you were listening to that music? Tell us what
You already read it.
Well, I get to ask you questions today. So I want to know, and you want to be able to tell everything. I heard you say you want to tell.
As I said earlier, answering your question, and as I said earlier, riding from my parents' house to my roommate's place of employment, you mentioned that, listened to the music, and I felt really, really, I'm so irritated with this stuff with Dylan. I'm going to go address Dylan. Going towards Dylan. Not in the same area where T is. It's within like 15 minutes of a drive because, hey, it's a small town.
Okay. So you were mad, you're saying, I guess, but you were not. You're mad at Dylan.
I have no animosity towards Sabrina. I'll acknowledge, I think she's annoying, she's childish, whoop-de-doo.
Okay. Well, I know that there were some questions about your backpack that you had and the contents of that. You recall those?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask you some questions. I think you even wanted to see, I think you were asking on direct, you wanted to be able to see the backpacks, but maybe I couldn't remember everything's in it.
Sure, if you're going to do that, let me name off every item.
Well, let's look at some.
No, let's name everything. Or at least let them have everything.
All right. Well, we'll show it, and then I get to ask the question. Okay. Okay.
Sorry, man, I just don't like it. So.
I know. When you were, So when you're riding your bike, you do remember that part. You remember remember trees when you're riding your bike, is that right?
Not while riding the bike, no. No, those are not, that's not on the bike. But my visual of the trees is if you were being this way. Like dragged.
Do you remember talking at the hospital about riding your bike and seeing trees or not?
The whole, everything that's visual is like next to nothing, darkness, discombobulated. There's stuff they mention out of chronological order that I talked to them.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to get back to the backpack. Okay. This is exhibit, we were talking about this exhibit 3 under Jake's backpack. It's the square of exhibit 3. There we go. See the photograph that appears on the screen at this time, Jake?
Yeah, there's a copy of it down there that I'm...
Right.
So I was actually better.
Yep. Is that your backpack?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's go to the next photo. And that was in the backpack, right? Your driver's license?
Correct.
Okay, it looks like it just got issued December 10th of 2015. So it's a newer license, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. And then let's go to the next photograph. Okay. There's a lot of things in that backpack, right?
True.
Okay. Why do you have the roll of duct tape there?
Who doesn't have a roll of duct tape anywhere? Car, boat, in an office. You guys probably have duct tape here. It's because it's a smart thing to have. It's useful for everything. I am house hopping.
Well, I know. I guess you can use duct tape, right? To you can wrap it around a hammer, right?
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah. Can you wrap it around a tire iron too?
Yeah, you can wrap it around tire iron too.
Okay. All right. And then is that hammer right there with duct tape around it? That's supposed to be
The grapple.
some kind of thing to climb trees?
It was the one time it was used up in Marinette. My cousin knew an individual that his Xbox was stolen from. Keep it short, was stolen. No one knows me up there, so I hanged out with individuals. We kind of drank, whatever.
Yeah.
Whenever we were sleeping, we made this so that because there was a second story. He threw it up. He went up. I put the Xbox in the backpack. He went off so that way when people woke up, oh, what happened? Oh, I was in here. I was sleeping with you. Shit, who threw it up? It's now retrieved. They paid us to get it back. I'm proud of making that thing. That is a cool thing.
So that's not supposed to be a weapon?
No.
Okay. That knife...
That is what I was using to defend myself. There is a witness that witnessed that when they gave me a ride.
So that can be used as a weapon, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Why
then,
not use that? That thing, if this is me, why not use that thing? That thing's perfect for such a thing, right?
did you see the knife that you used that night?
I was shown the knife I was used. It's not in my possession. It's part of the kitchen stuff,
It's a
apparently.
big knife, isn't it?
Not compared to that fucker.
Okay. What about the zip ties that are in this? What kind of explanation do you have that? I suppose a lot of people just carry around zip ties.
I gave that explanation earlier when Eckhoff asked me.
To restrain people? You're going to set off fireworks and then restrain them, like tie them up and then run away. Is that right?
Well, you guys do have my phone talking about individuals who are attacking me over and over from the course of the years. I have a warrant. So I can't go to the cops and be like, hey, these people are fucking threatening me with knives and that's all this crazy stuff. They were starting to realize where I was sleeping, where I was staying at. Darren mentions that in her statement. So I can no longer stay with people. Why well, stay somewhere in the woods now?
Okay.
You use those fireworks to fucking distract, some Home Alone shit. Fucking get them all, whatever, riled up. You tie them down, call the cops from somewhere else. They're finally detained. What else am I supposed to do? They're for safety. If they were to do anything with these people, why wouldn't they be used?
Well, there's some zip ties in the bathroom.
Yeah, we're aware of that.
By Heesun, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember dropping those in the bathroom by Heesun?
I didn't put anything anywhere.
So,
I didn't put anything anywhere. I don't have a recollection of what goes on in the house other than what I've told you.
In all fairness, it seems like, Jake, sometimes you remember some things you want to remember, and sometimes you don't remember things.
I'd say that's completely false. If once everyone views what's in the statements, what's in the casework, once people see exactly, the court hearings, every time I talk, they would see you're false on the exact words that you just said there.
Okay. What else do we have here?
Can I also add something to that? That would be really stupid for me to lie in front of a camera right there that's going national.
Okay.
Just to put that out there.
Okay, I got it. It looks like tarot cards. Is that what those are?
Yes, it is.
What are those for?
Personal interest?
Okay. And
What are you expecting? Some seance and some crazy shit? Or like the stuff in Joel's phone, the serial killer shit in Joel's phone?
I don't know. I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, you do. You know the serial killer shit in fucking Joel's phone.
Oh, okay.
You know the game any things in there?
All right. Can we go to the next photo? These are some more things from the backpack. Is that right? Your backpack?
Correct.
More zip ties?
Looks like it, sir.
Looks like you got a lot of zip ties. Is that right?
Yeah. Looks like like 20 of them, looks like.
And then there's always one glove. They're all mismatched, but only one glove. You never have matching gloves. Is that right?
Like I said, my wife was Miss Kajumbo. I grab what I could. So.
I don't know what that is. It looks like a little miniature wolf.
Yeah, that was something that was sentimental to me. And, it's shitty times going on, so it's like, at nighttime, it's like, horrible type of thing.
The wolf is sentimental to you?
Yeah, someone gave it to me.
Okay. All right. So, good. Turn it off. What? Yeah.
You're trying really hard, by the way. It's kind of funny.
I'm trying hard.
You guys are trying really hard, yeah, especially when everyone sees all the statements you guys tried to make and shit.
Okay.
Compared to what's real, yeah.
Well, let's just get through this. Okay. I'll try hard, you try hard, and we'll get done with it.
What do you mean?
Okay. So when you told the police at the hospital that when you get there, you said, I remember going into Sabrina Teague's bedroom window. Is that what you remember saying?
That's not... There's multiple parts of that in the statement. So if you want the accurate piece, you can just view the evidence we put in. It's word for word.
Right. You remember going to Sabrina Teague's bedroom?
I don't remember going through Sabrina Teague's bedroom. There's a screen on the ground, there's her wood paneling, her voice, there's silhouettes of people around me. Oh shit, where would this be?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the only place I know in my life that has that wood paneling and her voice. The same place, that would be, an assumption. Did I go through the window?
No, I think, I believe you told Sergeant Holschbach that you went into the window. Do you remember that?
I forget, I'm not going to say word for word here, but I'm going off the assumption you guys can see exactly what was said in the stuff, so I'm not going to waste time on that. Because that's covered a couple different times, so you're not giving me the pinpointed area.
See if this will make you remember. Do you remember, maybe this will help jog the memory. Do you remember using that flat end of that tire iron to open up that window? Do you remember that? No?
That's never mentioned in there either, as far as I recall.
No, that's why I wanted to ask you if that's what you used it for, the duct-taped tire iron, if you remember using it to get into the window.
I didn't do anything with that window. There is marks on that window when you look through evidence stuff. Did I do anything? No.
Okay, all right. And then you said that you remembered in the Sabrina's bedroom, wood, and you think that's the wood paneling kind of in the room?
Like some houses have a basement where it's like kind of like a bar area type of thing, where the panel is wood paneling, and then normal plaster, it's like that type of nature.
Okay. And the shoes you were wearing when you were inside that Sabrina's house were called DCs?
Shoes I was wearing that night were DCs. The night on June 7th, regardless of where you want, whatever you're going to go with this.
What about when you were in Sabrina's house?
I don't fucking know, man. How many times did I tell you? I don't remember what's in Sabrina's, other than what I've told them, whatever I told you on the statement. That hasn't changed since when I first got in the jail. I got a little more additional memory and some things that came through fucking dream-wise, which I'm not sure if was actual visuals or consciousness putting. Other than that, has not changed for years.
Okay.
All the jail recordings and the phone I recorded, you'll hear that consistently for 4 years.
Do you remember seeing the photos, those DC shoes in Sabrina's bedroom?
Yes, I've seen all those. The evidence photo.
Those look like your shoes?
I just told you yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Okay.
Okay, I'll keep trying hard. So, one of the things, when you were talking to Sergeant Holschbach, you talk about remembering a bathroom and wetness and blood all over it. Do you remember that?
If you look in closely, yeah, there's the only time when I talk about the actual visual, it's something along the lines where it's just all red, and it's vivid red, like in like a pen cap red. So it's not a normal, what you would call blood type of thing. It's like, I think, amped up and a little changed by conscious.
Okay. Do you remember telling the police that you remember you doing a hacking motion with something like a hammer but not a hammer?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was supposed to be in the bathroom. Did you remember you doing something with a hacking motion with an object?
That is when I recollect memory shortly in that same time frame.
Okay.
But it's not a portion of memory in that bathroom.
Why did you tell the police that that's what you remember?
Because I'm trying to help them and I'm being honest. Who's to say that's not me fucking defending myself against the punks that brought me there?
Well, if something happened in the bathroom, tell us about it then.
I've already told you everything. There's nothing to change.
You remember talking to the police, telling them, I remember swinging in the bathroom. Swinging. Do you remember telling them that?
Yeah.
Do you remember that now today?
That's not the same thing right there, though. This also, you gotta remember, the visuals, it's not a visual bathroom. The visual swinging, there's red here. I don't see a tub. I don't see a fucking toilet. I don't see nothing. There's swinging. So I'm, throughout the whole statement, going off the assumption of what I know, which is barely next to nothing. That doesn't mean I'm in the bathroom. Am I by it? Near it? Am I trying to get away from some fuckers? I don't fucking know what to tell you. But it's not a visual of swinging, oh, I'm in a fucking bathroom, for 100% fact. There's red, and where else is there red? Okay, there's bathroom seems to be red with stuff, apparently.
Well, if you don't remember a tub or things like that, why'd you tell the police you turned on the shower? That you turned on the shower?
I said there must be a turning off the shower because originally I think it's rain. And originally before that, I'm like, what the fuck is this sound? Because it keeps bugging me, why is there a rain sound? It was raining on the 6th. So, and I'm pretty sure you can go back and get weather reports, I think they do that type of thing. But you see that, what is this sound? Oh, those are showers. Oh, I guess, maybe I turn it off. I don't fucking know. You see those words, I guess, or maybe. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. But if that was the case, my lawyers would have brought to my attention all those fingerprints on knobs and shit. Or those footprints going down stairs after all bloody, but that don't exist. Like, what? You know, come on now.
Then you said during the interview to police, Sunny is a real nice lady. It's unfortunate the way things turned out.
Yeah, it was kind of an ugly breakup.
Well, right then, when they were talking about that, they never told you that Sunny was dead yet, did they?
He asked me about Sunny. I said, yeah, she's a nice person. It's unfortunate how things turned out. Not about the case, about I just told you.
Not about you killing her, and she,
No.
Not about you killing her that night.
Why would you say, oh, it's unfortunate how things turned out about this,
because
acting the whole
Because
other
if
way?
you've moved on from Sabrina and things like that, I don't know why you would say that right there about Sunny.
Because she,
It's unfortunate the way things turned out.
like I said before, she knew how to make some really cool fucking Korean food. She was a good person. I'm friends with the majority of my exes. Okay, there was a bad breakup. All right, Dennis was cool. Sunny was cool. Cool place to hang out. It's unfortunate that, we're no longer friends. Okay, whatever. There's only 2 people I'm not friends with, like my ex-wives. And 2 other ones become like family friends, which is one of them is my roommate, who actually asked me to move in and didn't have to worry about rent because she knew I'd protect her against she dates a bunch of bad people. You can ask her that. She's part of the witness list.
Did you hear the injuries to Sunny?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you hear the injuries that were testified to about Sunny that she received?
Yeah, they're fucking horrendous.
She had a stab wound to the head, right? You heard that?
I half and half heard a lot of stuff. I know what's a good amount of what's in the case because, as you guys are all aware, I was trying to do what was asked of me by my attorneys to get this stuff ready. So I don't have so much time for it. So hearing it in here, yeah, here and there.
Did you hear in the courtroom that she had a stab wound to the chest that went into her right ventricle of her heart? Do you hear that testimony?
Like I said, I don't really know what's going on with what's heard, but that's in there though.
You hear that she had a fractured neck, a broken neck?
Yeah, that's in there. I remember reading that.
You see the rope that was around her neck?
Yeah, what the fuck is that? Because in my backpack, I don't have something like that.
Yeah,
So-
it's a rope that has one of those, what do you call those things? Carabiners, is that what you call it? You see that rope has that on that?
The yellow rope?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kind of like that. It looks like kind of
When I was going through my discovery, any time I saw disgusting photos as far as seeing Sunny or Teague, I didn't look at it. So with the pictures that you have of the bathroom where she's out of view, I looked at that. So I didn't go into examining that rope. If you want to say there's one on there, and if my attorneys agree there is one on there, then there is one on there. So I'm more curious about like DNA and stuff, like whose DNA is on there. I want to know too.
Okay. Why'd you tell the police that you washed your feet in the white sink?
There is memory of water. Well, it feels like water. It's just wetness. It doesn't feel like it's going across your feet. But it's like wet here is the memory piece. And there is, like I said, it's all silhouette stuff. In the portion there's gritty. It looks like it's more white than black there. So I'm assuming, okay, if I'm washing feet, okay, then is that the sink? If we've come to the conclusion, I'm at Teagues' house, I remember there's I always know there's two bathrooms. I didn't know there was a bathroom in Sunny's room until the case, but so like I said, assumptions, you see that, they're going to see that.
Yeah, but I don't understand this part. Why did you tell the police that you washed your feet in the white sink and you told them because there's blood all over them?
I'm going off of assumption.
Why did you tell the police that?
I'm clearly trying to help people try to figure out what's going on.
Okay, so you're trying to help still, right?
Trying to help figure out what's going on.
Try and figure out who may have killed somebody, is that right?
I'm not aware of people who are dead yet. So that would be incorrect there.
Well, that's what you said, right?
Yeah, I assume I'm washing feet. Okay, that must be why. I don't see why there would be feeling wetness on your fucking top of your foot unless you're washing it.
I bet you were real concerned at that point if you were remembering washing blood off your feet. You're remembering that. Is that right? You're really getting kind of worried of what you might have done?
Not worried about what I'm done. I'm worried about the whole situation. Why am I in a hospital covered in blood?
Right.
It's not what's going on in the way you're saying.
Okay. When you're talking to the police, you say that Sabrina Teague is a piece of shit. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
And then you say, this is what you said. I stabbed her to the torso or neck. I stabbed her to the torso or neck.
And there it says, I think or I must at certain points. There's never by itself the way you're stating, and it's also going off of assumption what's going on here. But usually, fucking, like, oh, she beat up type of thing. Sabrina's not beat up.
You assume that you did it then because you're...
I don't assume I did anything. I'm assuming there's something going on, and my involvement might be possible with it. Yeah. But then it comes to find out when we get the whole discovery, that's not the case.
Okay. Why did you say to the police further details like, I stabbed her in the garage or on the lawn?
So what?
Why did you say to the police then also that I stabbed her in the garage or on the lawn?
There's this assumptions going through the whole thing. How many times did I tell you this?
Okay.
We just put what we just put in. It covers all this crap. Can we speed this up with real shit, please?
Okay. Why did you tell the police that because of what happened to Sabrina, the doctors better be swift?
Because as it goes on, it goes on in the course of the interview. You can see not only is it small assumptions, like, okay, someone's probably severely dead. And you can see through it that I'm concerned for what's going on. Like I said before, Sabrina doesn't need to die. I've never wanted to kill Sabrina. I never wanted to do anything to anybody other than Dylan.
Okay. If you didn't do anything, then why did you say at the hospital, I fucked up and that's not okay?
Again, the whole time I'm assuming, oh, did I just go ape shit, forget shit, da-da-da, but that don't make no sense because there's too much stuff in the crime scene that shows cognitive ability. Like, who goes through a window, supposedly? It's like cognitive ability, thought process awareness. Who would go through a window and they'd be like, oh, wait, this window's open, that's a little weird, tie that shit down. That's just one example. Let my attorneys argue the rest of it if they wish, which I think they will. Also, if you're the one washing your feet, you'd supposedly be someone with a tire iron, then go put it over here. Why isn't there no blood on the carpet? Because you're standing in blood. You would be standing in blood if that's the case, so then there would be footprints over there. But no. That's another thing that shows what people say. If it was me, Joel, or Sabrina herself, whatever, there would be blood on that fucking carpet. Put that there. That's a weird placement. That's a deliberate placement. Like, hey, I'm hidden, but not hidden. There's plenty of cognibility there in the case.
Okay.
So it can't be like, oh, just rage and went off on this shit. But it's also clearly I can't physically stand up. I'm physically incapable of committing a crime. And if I was cognitive, you guys know I ain't fucking stupid, fucking shit. If you really wanted to kill someone, like Sabrina or whatever, she has a cabin. She wants to be friends with me. Like, come on, this is just stupid. It's sick, and I swear to God, we're going to show the world what's in Joel's phone.
Okay. Why did you tell the police that you dropped the knife by the fence across from the garage?
You're talking about the video or them picking me up?
Why'd you tell the police that that's where you would have dropped it and that's where we should look for it?
There was a couple of times cops asked me about this. Be more specific.
Anytime. Why'd you ever tell them that you dropped the knife over there?
Let me help you out. So if you're talking about the cops picking me up, where I'm like, oh, it's in the house, that's off of a reaction because cops will fucking do stupid shit to you.
Okay.
So that's just a subconscious response. It's clearly not in the house. To the other part where I think that you're going with, I have a visual, last pretty much visual, where Sabrina is going. She's walking towards that foliage barrier while I'm in the garage portion, apparently, because there's cement there, car here. So the best assumption to help these cops is, well, if that's where she was going, if that's where she has a knife in her hand, then that's probably where the knife is. Go find it, figure it out, 'cause I want to know what's up.
Okay. Why did you tell the police you were chasing Sabrina, chasing her?
I don't think that's in there. I don't believe that.
Okay. Why did you tell the police you think she was trying to get the knife away from you?
If there's an actual thing going on here, going off assumption, well, okay, someone goes in your house, right? Some crazy bastard goes in your house, and there's blood everywhere. Obviously, you're trying to get the knife from someone or something of the sort. Assumption.
Okay. Why did you tell the police that you threw a red blanket to cover up blood inside the house?
I don't believe that's in there. I do remember seeing a portion when I was taking notes on there. That part, there's a red blanket, and the cop asked where, and I was like, I say, I don't know. I know that's pretty, like 8% accurate right there. So I don't know what that portion is. Because that wouldn't make sense enough. I went to grab this blanket. There would be blood going to there on the carpet or going over, blood touching all this shit. That don't exist.
And what's the strong smell that you don't like in that house? What's the smell that you were smelling when you were doing these things?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I think after talking to him, maybe a vinegar, because there was a vinegar bottle there.
Oh.
Maybe, I don't know, because the only smells in my life that really potently offend me is vinegar, earwax, and then like vomit. So if I don't have memory, something to leak into my subconscious to be like, what is that? Those are the only things I could come to conclude. And he's like, well, is the vinegar thin there? I don't know.
All right. A couple more things I don't really understand. What does the tattoo say on your back?
This one?
The tattoo on your back, what does it say?
It says, even in death, always can love. And there's a sparrow with an X in its eye. It's a sparrow. By representation means a version of your soul. And with the stuff going on with Wendy, you see the sparrow is falling. The X is on its eyes. There's not a lot of energy left, so it's just putting its wings out in the faith of God. So with the sparrow being the I, meaning always in death, I can always still love. So even though I'm getting jaded and no longer my hippie normal self, I'm still going to be the guy that's going to give a shit about you.
Is that the tattoo you told the police you wanted to get off your body now?
No, there's this one right here.
Okay.
So that one says live life, love, learn. It's separated by colons to be read together and separate. It's my version of the meaning of life is to exist and experience through the greater consciousness of infinite love that our experiences bring that. It's one big conscious mind. So,
Okay.
but the cut part is the love part because I just do nothing but I give a shit to people and they just screw me over and shit. So it's like, for example, Bobby, can I have a place to stay? Oh no, man, can't stay on your floor for a day. Even though I've gone out of my way miles to bring you food when you didn't have food, but that's because you spent it in a fucking pot. Like that kind of stuff. Like it's like that's not getting me anywhere.
Okay. At one point on the audio, Holschbach left the room at the hospital, and you say like a prayer, "Dear God, if someone did die, please pass their soul on to the heavens." Do you remember that?
Do you see the word dead there?
Okay. Did you remember saying, "If someone did die, please pass their soul to the heavens"?
Yeah, I heard you, but do you see the word dead there? Do you know what that means?
I know what the word did means.
Assumption.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then it says, and then you said during the prayer, "Thanks for your fucking help, you asshole."
I'm specifically looking at the Jesus on the cross that's above the door.
Oh, I didn't. Jesus is the asshole.
I'm really pissed. I have no clue what's going on for the last fucking months. The person that I care about got turned out to be a dope that literally is around town doing that now.
But then the very next thing that you say in that prayer is, "That piece of shit was never going to stop lying." The piece of shit
Dylan
was
Gray.
Sabrina, wasn't it?
Dylan Bruce Gray.
Because I thought it meant Sabrina because she's the piece of shit.
You know it doesn't mean that. You guys got everything in my fucking life.
Well,
Shut up.
Maybe that was a bad assumption then.
Okay, that's what you want to call it, man?
Because I wanted to ask you if that's what it means. Because that's the piece of shit you called somebody. It was Sabrina.
Why? Your case is so weak. Why would you sue? Why would you kill somebody that you can prove are making weak allegations? When people rape people, they have a tendency to continue doing that.
Okay.
I had plenty of people actually that will speak honestly about my character, so obviously I'm not concerned about that. And I wasn't concerned about that. Otherwise, I wouldn't continue to move. Go find a life, go find a place, date Wendy.
Okay.
So it's obviously not concerning. Once it starts getting more, now I can sue because you can't sue for defamation of character unless it starts affecting you. I need $2,000 for trial. I need a car. I need my life back. She's got fucking plenty of cash. All right, sue her. I have a video in my hard drive that you have of me talking to my sister, you getting that ready to go to court with. Why would you kill someone that can put your foundation in your life back when you're not in their life forever? You've got statements by her best friends, 3 years. Been her friend. Them. Anthony Gal. April. I don't exist. April knows all exes. Who the fuck Jake?
Jake, sometimes don't you think that when people don't use logic when they're having a wave of hell come over them at a moment, don't you think that's what happened here?
No, because there's too much stuff in the case that shows cognitive ability, as well as there's stuff in the case that shows somebody else was there. Fucking moving me around. I am basically a ragdoll here. Drop Drake in his fucking blood. All right, bring me around. Hey, look, there's the trees. Go back through there to Alston Green's cousin's house, who lives behind there, who has his friend Seth. Sabrina's ex has a history of going through and fucking doing all this shit that fucking, what was it, that Miles' boyfriend mentions?
This doesn't make any... One of the questions I have for you is, I'm trying to figure out, is you talked about how you were with the police for a long time. It's like 9.5 hours, right?
I think it was a little over 10.
Okay. And during that 9.5, 10, whatever it is, long time, you never
And I'm
say...
falling asleep damn near at the end, too.
Okay. You never say once to the police that there's anybody else there except Sabrina and someone in the bathroom you think's a female and a guy with a Burger King shirt. So why?
Yeah, you remember with that? For a long time, I have a very distinct memory of struggling with someone stronger than me. Sabrina's not stronger than me, neither is Heesun. So, okay, so so I heard Sabrina's voice, it's a gas station shirt. There's got to be someone else because I do remember a feeling of being fucking held down.
Well, why didn't you tell the police that in those 9.5 hours?
I do. I have fucking next to nothing memory.
You're trying to help them to get to the people.
Actually, I can scientifically tell it to you.
Okay.
So, what is it? Sleep deprivation? You're classified as legally drunk, right? After a certain amount of hours because you are just so tired that your body's and your mind's not keeping up. Okay, let's have that. We also have life trauma. I'm going through a lot of shit. And both those by themselves can cause global amnesia, which is a scientific thing people can go into. You also got, when I get ganked, your flight or flight hormones kick in. Your vision goes smaller. Your other sensory goes down.
What's that word you just used? Ganked?
The proper term is abducted.
Oh. This one, did you tell the police that you were abducted during the 9.5 hours?
There's a part in there where I talk about being surrounded in Sabrina's bedroom.
Surrounded in her bedroom.
Yep.
And did you tell them that you were ganked by somebody?
At the time, I didn't know if that's what happened. I'm at war with Dylan. There's people are after me. There's recordings. There's evidence of that in my phone you guys keep withholding. I didn't know what was going on.
One of the things I want to ask you is...
Because I strongly believe that if they were going to fucking do what I thought they were going to do, they would have shot me in a spot that wasn't public. So it didn't what is this? So that's why that was excluded from my fucking trying to figure out things. Until I got my discovery years later by that man right there.
Okay. And after you ran out of Sabrina's house, did you try and get on your bike and try and ride away?
I don't remember anything.
Is that when after you killed people in the house, is that when you got some blood on your bike over there?
I saw that, and then it actually helps our defense. If I were on grabbing this bike and I'm all bloody, there's definitely going to be more fucking blood on that bike. Whether it's my pants touching the side or other hands picking it up, there's one spot that don't really add up to something like that. Right?
Oh, that's a mysterious thing, too. Well, did the chain came off when you tried to get on the bike to ride away? Is that why you had to run and hide? Is that why?
I don't know why the chains comes off other than by assumption that when someone throws shit on you, a duffel bag type of thing on you and it knocks you over on your bike, that's probably why the chain's dislodged. 9 times out of 10, you're biking, say your chain comes out biking, 9 times out of 10, you're going to touch that chain. Even if you know it's greasy, I shouldn't touch it, you're going to touch it. That kind of grease would stay on you, even with blood. There's none of that on myself. There's none of that on my clothes. So
why did you go run and hide in the grass?
I didn't go run and hide in anything. My ass got dragged there, dropped off. They went through the woods section. And there's history of Sabrina's ex, Seth Waters, coming the same reverse way, coming from that same true line and stalking at Sabrina's window. Sabrina's family member, person type, Benjamin Gunn, mentions being a witness to this. But no, we can't bring that in, right?
I never heard this part before.
You're a liar. I sent all that shit to Sabrina's mother's friend. You guys have a copy of it all.
About kids dropping you in the woods and running away. I've never heard that.
Your Honor, I'm going to object.
Oh, you just asked him a question. That's what he answered.
Your Honor, I objected.
Here, just give me the statements. I'll show them. I'm going to show them anyways. It's going online. I'm going to give it to them.
Okay,
I didn't have shit to hide.
Well, let's just get through this. We'll keep going.
Okay, so if you had a case, why you can hide all that?
Okay.
If you thought it was me, why would you hide all that? What's up?
All right.
Sorry, I'm 4 years fucking irritated with this shit.
Okay.
The stuff I can't get back because of you guys.
Your Honor, can I suggest that we all just take 30 seconds just to,
Well, I think we're fine. We'll just keep going.
Yeah, we're
Thank you,
almost done.
That's fine. I'll shut it.
Let's get this done. And why'd you even show up at Sabrina's house? You just
How times
happened
have I told you I was willingly brought there?
Is that an assumption by you?
No.
Okay.
There's evidence that points to, my clothes do not match up to fucking, beating someone up and then slitting someone. It matches up to, why you a ragdoll? Drop him here for a second.
So now you
Okay.
remember being taken there?
I'm sorry,
You remember being taken to Sabrina's house?
I remember, what I told you about being ganked. I remember the Hampton Park visual where I'm not standing up, so I'm being dragged in a certain portion. I do know, and there is proof that these people like to congregate in such areas because they have homes over there, like the guy who brags about doing or helping this crime, who has cousins right behind Sabrina's house. Best buddies with Seth Waters, who's best buddies with Joel. Joel's fucking trying to be like Dylan. There's Facebook evidence of this. You think you can hide this case?
Did I approach you on to grab any Twitter?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Cayer, if you have something to say, you need to turn your microphone on so the court reporter can take it down. Well, then don't speak.
Here, you see what we just put up on the screen? It's exhibit number 5. Do you recall the diagram?
Yeah, I do, Dana.
You drew the house with the 3-stall garage, is that right?
Yeah, this picture here is my involvement drawing it.
And you drew out the long driveway for the Sabrina's house, is that right?
I just told you that my involvement drawing this picture is yes. Come on, speed us up.
Well, I want to ask you a little specific. Did you tell the police on the diagram where the knife would be located?
We covered this already. Last visual, Sabrina leaving towards the foliage, probably where it is. Did you notice that the side garage doesn't exist there? Because I have no knowledge of the side garage. Oh, it must have been put in when I've never been with her for the longest time. You would think I would put that in there too, right? If the whole way, not 10 hours, I'm trying to help them. Why the fuck would that be out? Oh, because I have no knowledge of that thing existing because I'm not in her life. Takes a while to build a garage like that, probably, right? Food for thought there, whatever.
Okay. And you drew the fence as well on there?
Yes.
And then did you draw the area where Sabrina fell?
That's where my visual was with her last. If you notice the circle extension, my visual starts from inside the garage, like I've said. And when she's getting stabbed, she's in the foliage. It's an arm going up. It's a shoulder and arm going up. Mind you, I'm 6'3". I'm not shorter than Sabrina. She's not up here. I'm 7 feet away.
The circle on there where you were describing you chased Sabrina that way.
I didn't chase Sabrina. If I chase Sabrina, there'd be bloody footprints going towards her.
Did you see all the blood in the garage?
I gave description of what I saw at the time. It's in the statement. Quit wasting time. You all have access to that.
You mentioned a moment ago that you said you want to rely on the DNA evidence. Were you here when the expert testified about DNA evidence?
Yeah, she started yesterday, came in through today, right? No.
And I ask you a question, and this is not meant to be sarcastic. I want to ask it about DNA. Do you have an identical twin?
No.
Okay, so I just want to check.
Are you comparing it to every other person in the world? No, I think Tony covered that.
One of the things, Jake, I'm almost done, that when you had told the police that you stabbed Sabrina and did some things here in the house, one of your main concerns you told the police were you love your mom and you didn't want her to find out what you did. Do you remember that?
It's not worded like that.
No? Well, what were you saying that you didn't want your mom to find out?
I don't know why I'm covered in blood. There's stupid shit going on. Her mother just died recently. Dad's not letting me be in the family because he thinks that whatever he thinks about Dylan. And we're such a family unit. It's also distraught. Okay, me being on the news for whatever the fuck's going on, like I originally thought, running somebody over, whatever the fuck. Yeah, it doesn't need to be added to the pile of this ridiculousness.
Okay, all right. And one of the things you said when your attorney was asking you questions earlier was, when you saw you were covered in blood at the hospital, you were worried what you may have done to your dad. That was one of your worries. Is that right?
Yeah.
Was that because that you knew from the wave of hell and how out of control you were that you...
Assumption. Yeah, I'm covered in blood.
All right.
I know there's fucking a lot of springy emotion built up over the years.
Yeah.
People are looking at me, cops, like, okay, what the fuck with this guy? what's going on.
Right. Okay.
You want me to tie your shoes for you too, or?
One of the things I want to ask you, Jake, is that you said that when you were demonstrating to the police, it was Sergeant Yankee, of how you stabbed Sabrina, you said you weren't demonstrating you yourself stabbing her. You were demonstrating maybe something,
A visual.
seeing somebody else doing it?
A visual.
A visual. Okay. What's a visual of what? Of you
Not
doing
my
it?
shoulder to me.
Not yours.
Nope.
Okay. That's why I want to make sure it was somebody else you think doing it.
It's the visual. The vision is pretty small. Cement, discoloration, gravel, whatever the driveway is, car end, her over there, and then you're not even listening. The arm on the going outside of my vision, the shoulder reaching outside of the vision, going up. I'm 6'3". She's not taller than me. I'm in the garage clearly.
A video.
Oh, the one where I'm like half asleep, 10 hours in after with the Yankee.
We're going to show you Sergeant Yankee's video when you're demonstrating what happened to Sabrina, what you did. So I want to play it, then I want to ask you some questions about it. So you can see it right here in court, and then I can ask you questions, okay? Just a second.
You feel it go in?
I ignore that word.
Upper chest, upper. Okay, so like neck area, upper shoulder.
All I see in my memory is this one.
Okay, so
All I see.
pushing forward with the knife. Okay. Okay, so it's somewhere in that upper left chest area, or upper shoulder area, or close to the neck. Okay. Okay, and so that's the first time. When's the second time? I mean, is it like, oh my God, I lost control, and then?
That's all I remember is just the form of my hand that comes out. And then she's falling in the rest of the foliage.
And then she's falling. How'd she get from here to here?
How did I get that?
Okay.
Forward movement of the hand.
Yeah. She said,
Okay, so I
think-
seen her get stabbed. What are you getting at this?
Mr. Cayer, if you would wait for the question and then answer the question that's asked,
I'm
this
so
would go a
sorry. I've
lot
been
more
waiting for years.
smoothly.
I'm together another human. I'm trying. This is, you guys have pissed me off royally. So,
Okay. Well, I'm sorry
you
about that.
specifically.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to just ask you a couple more questions. So when Sergeant Yankee said, so you're pushing forward with the knife, and you say yes,
No, I know. I ignore her. I ignore what she says. You want to play it again? She's like, oh, so you feel it going? And I'm like, I completely ignore that. So I see, you know, I keep doing the motion of what I'm
what did you
seeing.
just say?
I'm sorry. I'm so fucking pissed on. It's fucking me up right now. I'll play it again if you want. If you don't believe me.
It's fine.
Yeah, because you know what I'm talking about. It's true.
Okay. And let's see.
I apologize to you all. This has been a very hard endeavor. It should never have taken this long. Should,
So when you testified earlier today, you indicated that Joel just got poked. Is that right? Poked?
you mean when I reference how it doesn't make sense with the blood saying where it's at? He gets poked, he gets up. That conversation?
Do you get to see the photo to Joel's arm?
Yeah, it looks like a filleted fish, but it's only opened from here, straight up and down. This is not a life-altering effect. That can heal up, you can build muscle. Also, that's a pretty deep laceration.
Yeah, he went right through his arm.
Yeah, so his story when in the hospital when you get nervous, that shows what's really going on here. So if you really got stabbed there, and then struggle for the knife, which he doesn't say right away. He avoids that 5 times over, and then he finds like him like struggle for a knife. If you struggle for a knife, there would be a lot more blood right there. That's just consistent with that deep wound. Stab, get up, walk. Drip, drip.
Jake, there's a lot of blood in the kitchen between the sink and the island. You see?
Yeah, consistent with you get poked, you get up and move. If that cut was open while struggling, there'd be a hell of a mess, just like there is at Russ.
And Joel then went into the garage, right?
Yes. Which, when the cops ask him, hey, how'd you get in corner to the garage? That's what we're talking about here. He avoids that 5
I
times
don't
over.
remember getting hit with a shovel to your lip.
Say again, I was moving around.
Why do you remember getting hit in the face with a shovel? Is that an assumption, or do you remember that one?
There's a memory of something hit me. It's what the memory I see is
All right.
there's a green curvy thing, and it goes like this. But it's, the visual is like literally right here. Nothing else, no movement.
Okay. So, are you trying? Okay.
Maybe I'm trying to help Sabrina.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Are you trying to help
Fuck no.
Sabrina when you're stabbing her over and over again? Are you trying to help her? Or not?
Read what's actually being said.
Are you
We're
trying
saying the same questions over and over.
Are you trying to help Heesun when you're beating her with a tire iron to the head?
I never beat Sabrina. I never
In the
beat
bathroom?
Sonny. I've never stabbed fucking Sabrina. You can see what's in the testimony. You can see what's not faking memory loss. You can see it's truly just random pieces coming together from visual of being around. You could be like, hey, Fred, you come over for drinks. Oh, I'm already drunk. Oh, doesn't matter, come over. Okay, stumbles along. You're not going to do it, not remember anything as the night is going on. But we'll still have memory because of your senses still intake data.
Okay.
You can relect it later.
I got one more question and I'll stop. Okay. So, after, over the last 3 days, you got to hear the testimony of the witnesses, see the videos and audios, hear the autopsy reports, see the map you drew, look at the bloody scene, look at the red blankets, see the tire iron with the duct tape, the backpack of yours, the things you had on your person, confession by you, and DNA.
No confession by me.
Okay.
My professional lawyer there.
This is
told
the
that.
story this is your story, is that right?
No, my story isn't. You're not allowing the full discovery. So that's going on in that. I'm giving it to news so you can see the real whole story. We got a portion of what's going on here, but you're allowing to be perceived.
One more thing. The police took a mask off you. Do you remember that? Around your neck, I think?
That I didn't know that was a mask until they told me. I seen that in Discovery, the mention of it, whatever the fuck. The whole damn time I'm thinking this is some piece of material that you use to kind of like move, would help assist moving around or keeping in check or some shit. I didn't know there was a mask on. I thought it was fabric. And
Is that your mask?
no, it's not my mask.
All right. Okay.
Like if you want, my family can go take pictures of everything that I have on my Facebook throughout my life. I don't own shit like that.
Okay. Judge, I don't have any further questions for Mr. Cayer.
Thank you. Any redirect, Mr. Hycock?
Brief, Your Honor. Jake, do you need a second to take a drink of water?
Let's just get this shit done.
You said something during your cross-examination by Attorney Johnson about women treating poorly. What did you mean by that?
Nicole lied to me about having a kid to try to keep me with her. And then at one point she did some crazy stuff that I tried to prevent, like an abortion thing she tried to do, an actual hanger. And this crap made a case because I didn't have enough money to take care of that. But I'd love to fucking put that out there too. It was like, what's up? But that affected my ability to get jobs. She trashed the fucking apartment. Took all the cash. And so I had to start over on that big whoop, but now I can't even get a freaking job. Wendy, sucks that she kind of did to do some bad things to me and whatnot, but she wasn't in a good spot in her life, so I'm not going to blame her on that because she's not doing well. But that integrated this whole war with Dylan.
Jake, did you mean when you made that statement to include Sabrina Teague?
No, there's nothing with Sabrina. Okay, she made stupid claims. Cool, I can use that to go and get some cash. Big fucking whoop. She made those claims back in like spring of 2014. Okay, whatever. I don't care. Everyone knows they're false. Everyone knows who I am. I now go find Wendy, find a woman I want to be with. I go start dating Wendy. Mind you, like I have multiple exes before that. Before that was Nicole. So how has that affected me? I'm not it don't matter. Then after spring to winter, now it pops up. Yeah, that's annoying. One of my biggest pet peeves is I hate when people lie my name. But I made evidence you guys have in my phone, my hard drive, that I'm going to sue this woman.
Jake, you used the word assumption numerous times. Can you tell me what you mean, or tell us what you mean by assumption?
Say you wake up. You're covered in blood. You do not have a goddamn clue what's going on. Last thing you remember is talk with your family. And when someone tells you it's the next day, that's more shocking. Something bad is going on. There's cops around you looking at you like you're some just shit or what the fuck's going on. Then you're doing someone talking to you about kind of what's happening. And you have nothing to go off of other than tiny, next to nothing visuals. Like the window thing. I'm assuming, trying to help them if this is something that I did, if it was. Oh, there's a window screen. Oh, there's Sabrina's bedroom wall. Oh, there's her voice somewhere amongst the mix. Oh, okay, there's assumptions, but clearly there's no going through the window. Or I would assume that, Sabrina's window is underneath Heesun's window. If she's home, it's going to take you some time to pry that window open without breaking the glass.
Is it safe to say that you're making the assumptions to help you better understand what happened?
Because I truly want to know what's going on.
Did the assumptions have anything to do in aiding the law enforcement?
I was trying to figure out what's going on. Something happened, and it looks bad. I want them to know. I want to know what's going on. Because like I said at the time, I didn't know if these guys did get me. But I ruled that out though because I thought they would shoot me in a non-public area because they were always something in their pocket type of thing. Some type like the gas station one. I do mention that in the one he played yesterday. Filling gas up. Hey, fucking. That's all recently before this. It's in my phone consistently.
So these assumptions had multiple purposes.
I'm going off of what my current awareness is, other than memory, because the memory is jack shit.
Safe to say that these assumptions ultimately were trying to help you and law enforcement piece everything together.
Yeah.
Objecting on asked and answered.
You mentioned, thank you, Your Honor, I'll withdraw that question. You answered, or you indicated to Attorney Johnson about not having any blood on the carpet around the tire iron. Why is that important?
So, if you recently beat up Heesun with a tire iron, because there's blood on it with her DNA, blood everywhere, you walking into that area, there should be blood there. Whether it's me, Joel, so then just whatever the fuck out this, just so y'all aware, somebody's fucking footprints or shoe prints should be blood on there. To put that there. There's other involvement around of people being there. That tire iron is so stupidly put hey, I'm hiding, but you can see me, guys, don't forget me. By the way it's turned, where it's placed between the things, this is deliberately put there, specifically. So if this is a rage or lost your mind thing, what the hell's up with that? Tying the window back down thing, I can't see from the road, possibly, that's what it seems to be. What is going on here other than, hey, Joel gets to have him and his buddies live out his fantasy.
How about the comment that you made to Attorney Johnson that you couldn't stand up? What did you mean by that?
When there's a bunch of cops that talk in the reports how when they apprehend me, that I'm physically incapable of committing a crime.
And why was that important?
How do you do a coordinated attack like this if you can't fucking move, you can't fucking think? It's a big house. So Sabrina's just standing there waiting to be attacked, and there's multiple exit points. You can move through the door, you can go through the door, front door. You can go through the sliding door. You can go down the hall by the windows. You can go downstairs, which does connect back to the garage. But no, we're just waiting. He says, she's calling a cell phone, but she has a cell phone receiver next to her or near her or some shit. Like, there's so much stuff going on that shows it's not a lose your mind, do something, because there's too much cognitivity, and there's a lot of stuff in there that shows there's got to be someone else with. And then there's all the stuff that you guys are hiding that shows that, yeah, she got into it with the same punks. She has a history of it. So.
You remember this document, right?
Yeah.
Exhibit 19?
Yeah.
That was your document, correct?
It was my transcribed of the document that the state provided of my statement.
Did you prepare that?
Judge, I'm going to object. These questions have been asked and answered, and also now we're going beyond the scope of the cross that I did. We're going back into something that they brought up. I don't even think I ever asked them questions about that.
I just think it's funny how we've already asked this question.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Your Honor, then I move to admit Exhibit 19.
And it's hearsay.
This stuff you provided is not hearsay.
Mr. Cayer?
I'm sorry, I'm
It's a legal
sorry for my
decision
glasses.
for the court to make, not for you to make. So if you would just allow me to do my job, I'll listen to the arguments.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things. Number one, I don't know why they were using it. I assume they were using it to like refresh his recollection to get through this testimony, video and audio. But, and again, I've looked at it a little bit because they brought it in, I think today, but I think it's also kind of Mr. Cayer's argument. It's not like testimony in a way. He can say whatever he wants in the witness stand, and if he needed to use that, like he did, to refresh his recollection to get out what he wanted to get out, that's fine. But when he puts down there all of his arguments and what he meant, that's what testimony is for up in the witness stand. So that's the basis of the state's objection.
We can redact those parts.
That's part of my concern. I've heard it characterized as a transcript, yet it's clear to me it's only a few pages long, and that certainly couldn't be a transcript of a multiple-hour interview. So I don't understand what it really is.
Your Honor, first of all, it's an admission by Mr. Cayer. I think that it needs to go to the jury, so I think it needs to be admitted. But when we look at the foundation that's been laid here, Mr. Cayer has made it very clear that he's watched these videos. He has made specific transcriptions. He has made specific questions. He's made opinions. He's had concerns, and we did this intentionally so that way we didn't have to watch 10 hours worth of video. And so that was the understanding that we had going into this, that this avoided this. And so
I don't think that avoids that. So if you have a need to present additional testimony through your client, then you would need to do that.
It's a way to verify what's actually being said, because it's clear audio. I'm fighting for my life here. They need to know this. It's a timestamp. They can verify exactly if that's what's being said or not. And we can redact the
Mr.
rest
Cayer,
of it.
you need to let us have our conversation, okay?
It's fair stuff to talk about.
Your Honor, I believe I misspoke. I said that it needs to go to the jury. What I meant is that because it is been discussed on the record, it's a document that Mr. Cayer relied upon during his testimony. It needs to be part of the record. It needs to be admitted as an exhibit for
Clarification.
for the thoroughness of the record.
That's not how we admit exhibits, and you know there are other exhibits that were used by the defense that were not moved into evidence and used in the exact same way. Perhaps this is an argument we should continue outside the presence of the jury.
I agree, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to excuse you while we take up further argument on this issue. I've not seen this before. I'll need to take a few minutes to look at it and evaluate it, so it could take us a little bit of time. I'm hoping, not more than 20 minutes, but it should at least give you some time if you want to go outside and get your masks off or anything like that. So we'll break until probably at least 3:30. You're reminded not to discuss the case or do any research. Please stand for the jury. Please be seated. All right, so why don't we continue some of our discussion on this? I'm very perplexed by this appears to be a color copy of a handwritten document created by Mr. Cayer, and the colored, it looks like colored Post-it notes that are all over the document, which are really his comments. I want to say, I think, in yellow, description of my issues. I mean, these are his thoughts about what he's depicted on this or written on this document, and I don't know how that would be an exhibit that would be admitted. So that's one of the issues I'd like to address. I'm sure there are plenty more. I just started looking at this for the first time. It seems that Mr. Johnson arguing these are the kinds of things that Mr. Cayer would testify to is precisely what this looks like. It looks like an attempt to allow additional testimony to come in the way of an exhibit, but it's not like a deposition or something like that, which would be a different situation. Did you want to say anything more in that regard,
Well,
Mr. Johnson or Mr. Lassay?
When I was thinking about it, I thought it was hearsay because hearsay, out-of-court statement, Mr. created out of court, offers certainly for the truth of what it asserts. And so I don't see any way around that it's hearsay unless they have an exception. I would make the comparison, I think, that it's like if we had a police officer testify, but he had 20-some pages of details, and then in addition to the testimony, we just marked as an exhibit the officer's details, and then submitted that as well, and wanted that to go to the jury as well.
Well, and
So,
my concern is it would be even more than just the details, because it would be putting notes on the details
Arguments
too,
and
and that's
notes.
part of my confusion about this document.
conclusions, assumptions, and you know, whatever words he uses, but yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Mr. Ike, oh,
Sorry. So, Your Honor,
Mr. Ike,
I was under the impression that the state wasn't going to have any objection with this, and so this kind of took me by surprise. I would say that this isn't hearsay because a hearsay is a statement other than one made by the declarant. Clearly, Mr. Cayer is talking about a document. He's the declarant. If the court disagrees with that, however, clearly the state is trying to say that that he's making inconsistent statements, and so that would be an exception. In the alternative, we can they're clearly trying to attack his credibility and say that he's making this all up, and a prior consistent statement is an exception to hearsay as well. And I
I'm
think
perplexed about how this could be a statement, though. So, you know, for instance, if you're saying it's an inconsistent statement or it's a consistent statement, what it appears to be is his version of what was said by him and officers during the interview. So it's not just his own statements. There would be information that other people have said that's captured in here as far as I can tell. But then there's all of his comments, like his interpretation is what these Post-it notes appear to contain. His thoughts, his beliefs about what may or may not have actually been said, or as he sits here in the trial, notes about what he thinks is relevant about what's happening during these portions of this interview.
all stuff that he could have testified to, Your Honor, and as for as Mr. Cayer even indicated, that we can just look at this document to streamline his testimony.
See, part of the problem is he needs to testify. His comments, too, look at it, look at the Google Drive, it's all there. This is the trial. This is where the testimony comes out. It gets presented to the jury in the trial in the way of your presentation of evidence, whether that is playing tapes, whether that's playing recordings. But this doesn't seem to be, this just seems to be a way to skirt your client having to actually answer questions.
Your Honor,
And I'd love to hear more about that if you have more you want to say about that.
I would make the comparison to a picture. The state can say, or the defense can say, here's a picture, look at this picture, get the picture admitted into evidence. The jury at the end of the trial during their deliberation can come back and look at this picture and rely upon that picture, even though there's no comment or there's no discussion about that, as long as it's admitted into evidence. If they feel that it's important, if they feel it's relevant.
Well, that's a physical piece of evidence. You're talking about somebody that would have used words to articulate what happened otherwise, and we don't give them a transcript to consider later on. So what do you mean by that?
The state also mentions a police report. I agree that if we can't say, Jake, is this what you're going to say? And he says yes, and then we admit it. But we can admit a entire police report or portions of a police report when there's inconsistent statements. And so just because it's just because it's a report or something that someone is prepared doesn't mean it's automatically out. In the right circumstances, this would come in. Again, the purpose of this was to streamline his testimony to assure that we didn't have to review 10 hours. This was all he was going to do with this document is help him clarify what he thought the jury needed to see and needed to hear. His explanation, which would have been no different than if we put him on the stand and watched and paused this entire series of audio and video recordings.
The problem is this isn't a professionally typed police report that one might be able to read and follow. For instance, on the front page, there is a key that I have no idea how to interpret. I don't know what that means. Then there's a yellow Post-it note that says, I don't know what the second word is. The instant of my statement, any shit they try to use of it, please view this. How is that useful to the jury? How is this part of an inconsistent statement? How, meeting some of these exceptions that you're referring to?
Judge, clearly the state on cross said, you made this statement, this isn't what you meant by that statement. This is clarification that he did. So that's an inconsistent statement, or a prior consistent statement to show that he isn't making this up. And so either way that you look at it, I think that it meets that exception.
I want to back up on that. How is this a prior consistent statement or a prior inconsistent statement with what he said to the police? I think that's a mischaracterization completely of what those terms mean legally.
So the law enforcement testified earlier in this trial. Jake took the stand and said some of the stuff that they said wasn't completely accurate, whether it be mischaracterization, an incomplete clip, or an incomplete.
And I agree that he can testify to that, and that's what he should do.
And that was the purpose of this document. Now the state comes back during their cross and saying, you're making this up, you're incorrect, you're lying, you're trying to protect yourself, whatever they're trying to infer based on their cross-examination. And so whether it be I think that's a prior consistent statement, I think makes more sense, because these are statements that Jake made. His handwriting on the paper is a statement that he's making, whether it be him transcribing some of this information, whether it be his thoughts about this interaction with law enforcement. And so it supports that his position has never changed from day one. He said since he's left that hospital, he's never said that he's done this. He's never said that he has partaked in a way that the state is trying to say that he partook in this. Now, it can be argued that he was assisting law enforcement at the hospital with the state's investigation, or the law enforcement's interview with their investigation. It can be argued that he was trying to piece this back together, or in the alternative, the state can argue that this was a confession. But when you look at the totality of the circumstances, this document, it helps the jury understand, and at the very least, even if the court decides that the jury doesn't get to see it, that's not the argument we need to make right now. I think at the very least, especially because we're having this conversation about this document, it needs to be admitted, just to make sure that the record's complete, even if just given the fact that we're having such a lengthy conversation about it.
instead of, you have a potential solution. I mean, you know our position, Judge. We believe that the document would be like the state, for example, submitting a written argument that we wanted it as an exhibit to go to the jury, because there's arguments of Mr. Cayer in there, and the court's pointed that out. The defense wants to have that. I thought they were going to, and they kind of did, use it to refresh Mr. Cayer's recollection. And I've done that before where I've marked an exhibit like a police report, used it to refresh a police officer's recollection, and then after I've done that, take it back, I marked it as an exhibit, and sometimes I've offered it and had it received in evidence, sometimes not, because there's always an issue then, usually there's no way it's going to the jury. But when I haven't offered it and had it received into the record, the defense lawyer would say, well, I want, if there's an appellate issue, I want the appellate courts to know what you use, Mr. Johnson, to refresh that witness's recollection. So I asked the defense attorneys, and we had a quick conversation here, and they discussed it, if we could all agree to preserve their record, if it can be offered into evidence for that purpose, offered and received, fine. But I think if they agree that they will not be asking that to go to the jury, then I think both sides will be satisfied. We won't have to continue to argue about this. And that's kind of what one of our solutions would be. And they can preserve their record. If he is convicted, they'll have a record of their exhibit, and an appellate court can see if somebody was wrong here. So we want to see what the court thinks of that. And I want to see what the defense thinks of that potential solution.
Your Honor, I did speak with Mr. Cayer. Attorney Cotton and I, with Mr. Cayer, did talk about that solution. Mr. Cayer is agreeable with that, so he believes that it's important to be part of the record and that we won't ask for it to be given to the jury during deliberation.
Not going to be accepted into the record, so the jury knows that. You're just going to ask that it be accepted into the record after you rest, so that if it's necessary for appellate purposes, it would be in the record.
Yes, and I think that still gives us the opportunity at least to argue during close about the document, but with the understanding that the jury requests that they will not be able to get it.
I think that's changing the agreement. I don't know about arguing it in closing more than what he's already testified to. If he's testified to it, of course, that's already in the record.
You're right, Your Honor. We're not going to be able to argue the information off of that document that isn't already in there, that hasn't been testified to. So yes, I think we're on the same page.
Now, the other thing I need to make you aware of, if that is the agreement, this is a very large document, even still with very small handwriting. This is going to have to be shrunk down to get scanned in at a standard-sized piece of paper, and it's going to become all the more difficult to read. So I just want you to understand that.
Your Honor, we can cross that bridge when we're not on jury's time and figure out how we can get that document in a more manageable size.
Well, I just know what the clerk has to do with it, because this is the exhibit and the clerk has to take possession of the exhibit. If you have an idea to replace it with something in the future and you want to try to do something like that, that's fine.
I do, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. All right, so for purposes of bringing the jury back out, what are you proposing the jury is told? With regard to this exhibit?
Your Honor, I think it makes the most sense to say it's been admitted into evidence by stipulation of the parties and not go any further than that.
I didn't think that was the agreement.
Or we.
Whatever the agreement is, it's been admitted. This document's being accepted by the court.
But I heard Mr.
As evidence, no, we didn't.
Yeah, what I heard Mr. Johnson say, and he can correct me, this is the kind of thing that gets addressed frequently at the end of trials. It's not admitted, it's not received, but later you ask that for the purposes of the record on appeal, that it be received by the clerk, so that if anyone ever wanted to know what was being testified to, that hard copy would be available. Is that what you're asking, Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor, that's what we're asking for. Thank you.
Okay. And that's the agreement between the parties and a stipulation?
That is, Your Honor.
All right, and Mr. Cayer, you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, just give me a
Okay.
thumbs
All right, well, I'm sorry, but the court reporter can't take down the thumbs up. That's why I have to have you answer in
up. No
words.
emojis?
Pardon me?
I said no emojis, I was joking.
No, not today. All right, so for purposes of the jury coming back,
Your Honor, it's my understanding that the state is done questioning Mr. Cayer. We have no further questions.
we left them hanging on this exhibit issue, so what would you like me to tell them? That I'm sustaining the objection?
Sure.
That's the agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have additional witnesses to call?
No, Your Honor.
What I want to do is I want to get the exhibit.
Is the state calling rebuttal witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Has either side had the opportunity to review the jury instructions and proposed verdict forms?
About three-quarters of the way through.
Okay.
The only thing I noted was obviously the bail jumping based on the stipulation, so they would need to be changed to address that.
Yes. That came out after those were prepared.
And there were a few areas where there was some bracketed language that was still in there.
That I thought we might need to discuss some of that.
Potentially we can do that, yep.
Okay.
Would you, Judge, would you be willing to give us maybe 5-10 more minutes once the jury came in? They have no further witnesses, I believe. We'll indicate we have no rebuttal, and we'll quickly read through that.
Or do you want to do it now before the jury?
Well,
Okay.
what I'm questioning is,
Yeah,
are
we
we
could.
going to get to a point where I can start instructing the jury today, or do you think I need to excuse them to come back? I would and what are your thoughts about closing arguments? Do you want to give closings today, tomorrow? Okay. Of course. Hey, Mary, I lost real time for like an hour. Yeah, I went out and connected a couple of times, and then it wouldn't come on, and then finally it did. It was really weird.
Yeah,
I never
I'm
had
ready.
it happen.
I know. It's good.
I think it is. I looked a couple times to make sure that it was still up.
Your Honor, are we on the record?
No,
Do we need to put Jake back on the stand since we're not going to call him, or no one needs him anymore?
Question?
I don't think we would have to if the questioning is done. Any objection to that?
No objection.
Oh, Your Honor. Thank you. I'm going to get Dr. Tony real quick, okay? Yeah.
We're off the record, but when you look at the jury instructions, if you would note that I combined count 1 and 2 and 5 and 6, make sure you're okay with that. Thank you. I do like 3/4 of them first. If you're ready, could we make a record about the bail jumping so that I can get that part of the jury instructions revised? I need to get the court reporter, if you're ready to do that. I had a proposal based on what I think your agreement is. Actually, I was talking about the substantive instruction, number 1795. Would just be a couple beyond the 115. All right, I'll look at that. So, first of all, I mentioned that I combined counts 1 and 2 into one instruction and 5 and 6 into another instruction instead of reading the entire instruction twice. Are the parties comfortable with that? Okay, thank you. If you need more time on the instructions, that's fine. I just thought I could start revising the bail jumping portions if you were ready on that.
Judge, I think on the defense's side, ones that are 1010 and 1795 are good.
Now, I thought that with regard to the stipulation on bail jumping that you would want me to say charged with a crime instead of charged with a felony and then take out the definition of felony.
You're 100%. What I meant is that we're in, so you're right, Judge. Yes, that's exactly what we agreed on.
And then
Yes.
can we just, before we get any further, can we go back to the bail jumping instruction, the substantive instruction? There's some options on how you can explain what he's charged with. Do you just want the language for the specific elements? I think this was in the state's proposal. For the specific elements of each of the listed crimes, please refer to the jury instructions for each of those crimes for which you have been previously instructed.
That was language that I had proposed. I think it's easier than repeating it in all of the. I think it's easier than repeating it in that subset of the jury instruction, especially given that there's 4 different crimes.
Any objection to that from the defense?
Your Honor, can
Yeah.
can you repeat your understanding of the proposal?
Okay, we have to go back on the record. There was some confusion and my mistake because I didn't say we're back on the record. When the court reporter came back out, I failed to do that. We had made a record about the fact that there's a stipulation regarding the bail jumping charges and that I will not be instructing the jury that Mr. Cayer had been charged with a felony and then the definition of felony. But the defense is stipulating that in fact he was charged with felonies and they were punishable by prison, and the state doesn't have to prove that element. There's a stipulation and it'll just be removed from the jury language, or from the language in the jury instruction for the jury. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, that it would be charged with a crime. I guess what I would ask, Your Honor, is that maybe in brackets or parentheses behind element 1, both as to count 5 and as to count 6, I would ask that the court perhaps insert language indicating that the parties have stipulated
Should we
as
just
to-
say
as to
pursuant to
element 1.
stipulation?
Right.
Perhaps. First, that the defendant was charged with a crime in Brown County case number 16 CF 608 pursuant to stipulation, or whatever language you want to use there. That's where you're saying to put it?
Correct, yeah, right after that, just so that, because I know we didn't actually put on the record in Brown County case 16 CF 608, I don't want that to be an issue that we didn't put the specific
As
case numbers.
stipulated by the parties?
Correct, as stipulated by the parties.
Is that agreeable to the defense?
Yes.
And then did you see the other portion of the instruction where it lists the crimes that are charged? And then Mr. Lassay recommended for the specific elements of each of the listed crimes, please refer to the jury instructions for each of those crimes for which you've been previously instructed instead of repeating them all. Are you in agreement with that?
That's fine.
Thank you. All right, do you need more time before we go into the instructions any further, Mr. Cotton or Mr. Eichhoff?
Do you? No.
So why don't we start with instruction 100? And I would propose they be read in this order as well. Any objection to instruction 100?
No, Your Honor.
No.
103, evidence defined.
No.
Your Honor.
115, we just talked about revising the reference to count 5 and 6 to take out felony and just put a crime. Otherwise, any objection?
No.
No.
Then we have the substantive instruction for first-degree intentional homicide, instruction 1010, which was combined for counts 1 and 2. Any objection to that as it's structured?
No, Your Honor.
It's one time. No.
And then the next, 1070, attempted first-degree intentional homicide. Any objections?
Nope.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Then the next substantive instruction, 1424, burglary. Element 4. It seemed that we could use the same language proposed by Mr. Lassay for the specific elements. Please refer to the jury instruction. Any objection to that? And then the court would delete the bracketed language before that.
That's fine.
That's fine, Your Honor.
Any objection to any other part of that instruction?
No.
No.
And then finally, bail jumping, I think we've covered that, but just to be sure, with those revisions we talked about earlier, any objection to that instruction?
That's fine.
Now, instruction 602, there's a choice of where it can be read. I think there's a number of places that it could be read, but specifically it says you can add it to instruction 100 or following the substantive instructions is how I read that header. Are you comfortable with it right after the substantive instructions?
Yeah, that's fine.
I like it there too.
Okay. And then the next instruction, 140, burden of proof and presumption of innocence, followed by 145, information not evidence, and 147, improper questions. Any objections to those?
Nope.
No.
148, objections of counsel, and I don't believe there was any stricken testimony, so I think we can have that one deleted. Do you agree with that?
Agreed.
I will delete stricken testimony, and there's no objection then to the instruction on objections.
No.
No.
155, exhibits, 157, remarks of counsel, and any objection to those two?
Nope.
No.
And then what are your thoughts on 158, recording played to the jury? It's typically structured that we do that, read that instruction prior to the recording, but I think it can be revised if you want it read now.
I think we did read it, correct? Prior to at least one of the recordings, but not prior to all?
I don't think we read it at all.
We're not asking for it.
I don't think we need it.
All right. It'll be deleted then. 170, circumstantial evidence.
Yes,
Fine.
Your Honor.
And what about 172, circumstantial evidence, flight?
We're requesting that, Your Honor.
We're not requesting it. We don't think there was flight here.
I think it depends whose version of events you believe. So is there anything you want to say about that, Mr. Lassay?
I think certainly evidence has been presented relating to that after the crime, so, I mean, it's found in the woods by a police dog, that's flight concealment in my view.
It would seem that Mr. Kennedy's testimony, if nothing, would support that argument. Mr. Cotton?
We think the evidence is clear that Mr. Cayer was simply passed out outside the house, not fleeing, so we're asking you not give this.
I think there's enough testimony to indicate that I should read that instruction, so 172 will be included. Are you still asking for 173, Mr. Lassay?
No, Your Honor.
That'll be deleted then. 180. Now, the heading is confessions and admissions, but I don't read the headings. I read the language of the instruction, and that talks about statements. Any objection to that instruction? Mr. Cotton?
No.
And we have 190, weight of evidence, 195, jurors' knowledge, and 200, expert opinion. Any objection to those, and then we'll talk more about expert opinion.
No.
Any objection from the state? Okay. 173.
There is evidence that Mr. Cayer had Sabrina Teague's cell phone on his person at the time that he was located, and that was the purpose of that. I do think it is relevant. Obviously, the state intends to argue that. We argued it in opening. We'll argue it again in closing. And I think it is circumstantial evidence of this crime that he's in possession of the deceased victim's cell phone at the time he's located by law enforcement.
Mr. Cotton?
I think this is appropriate for a theft case. There's no theft allegation here. I don't think that it's appropriate, Judge. Talks about taking property and whether he participated is for you to decide. The state's free to argue he took whatever he took, but I don't know if there's a need for an instruction on it.
I'd agree with that. I think the state can certainly argue those facts and, argue whatever inference you believe should be made from the fact that you believe that her phone was found on him, but I don't think this instruction should be read to the jury, and I'm going to grant the request of the defense to not have that instruction read. All right, so you're okay with 180 statements and 190 weight of evidence and 195 jurors' knowledge, correct?
Yes.
And the state's comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay, what about expert opinion? I don't know that there's conflicting testimony, so it seems that should be deleted. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'll make that revision. 300, credibility of witnesses. So that obviously needs to be read, and it looks like the bracketed language needs to be included because Mr. Cayer testified. Is that the agreement?
It's up to us whether we want it. It's fine. Sure, we'd ask for that language, please.
Okay, thank you. And then 59, police reports. Any objection to that instruction?
No objection.
I don't, frankly, I'm not asking for it, so if you want to read it, I don't have a strong position on it. It just gets to be a question of whether we really need to advise the jurors that they're not going to be given police reports. I don't know if that's necessary.
Seems like most of the reports that were referenced were used as exhibits. I don't think there were very many that were referred to. What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Lassay?
They were referred to. I know, there was a reference, for example, to Sergeant Holzbach having a 27-page report regarding the statement. It was referred to. I don't think it was specifically used to refer or to allow him to recall what happened.
I do recall that in the testimony, so I'm going to read the instruction. Then I think that's exactly what this instruction is intended to tell the jury. Are you asking for 175 motive?
Motive, I think, is already in the substantive instruction, at least for the 2 counts of first-degree intentional and the attempted first-degree intentional. I didn't see it in the burglary, but I don't think it's necessary there, so I don't think there needs to be a separate instruction.
All right. I know 270 was on the list. I don't recall.
That did not come in. There's no evidence to that.
All right. And do you agree with that?
Yes.
All right, so that'll be not provided as an instruction to the jury. There was a reference, I don't have your list in front of me. I know judicially noticed facts was on the list. I don't recall there being any judicially noticed facts. All right, what about, well, we don't need 315 because Mr. Cayer testified. So that will be stricken. What about 325?
That's fine.
Kennedy did have 1 conviction, so if we used it, it would be one of the witnesses has been convicted of a crime.
Mr. Cotton?
Yeah, we're fine with that.
All right, I made those revisions. 327.
First line should say crimes.
All right. Any objection to that as revised?
Yes, I'm objecting to 327 and just ask that you do 325, simply advising that some of the witnesses in the trial have been convicted of crimes.
Well, there's a specific jury instruction with respect to defendants, and I think that's for a reason. I can look at the comments quick and see what they tell us. Talks about the fact that it's an instruction on impeachment of a witness. 325 is other than the defendant, and 327 there's nothing really particularly useful that I can see in the comment other than to specifically point out that there's a separate instruction for witnesses other than the defendant.
I just don't think it makes sense to single him out. He's a witness like anybody else.
Well, I think the jury instruction was crafted to let the jury know that the person who's been charged, who's the defendant, is somebody that they're addressing in this instruction. What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Lissay?
I agree with the court's opinion that said, if the defense has strong feelings about it, obviously I think the goal of the instruction is to minimize the prejudice to the defense. So if the defense believes that by singling them out we're increasing the prejudice, then I'm okay with the proposal of the defendant just to say 325 witnesses, and so then that would be changed back to witnesses from this trial. So he is a witness.
So you don't want it to read one of the witnesses and the defendant, you just want it to read witnesses.
Yes.
Some of the witnesses?
Some of the witnesses have been convicted of crimes.
And that's the state's recommendation as well?
I'm okay with that.
I'm sorry?
I'm okay with that, Your Honor.
All right. The I've never had that request before. So the language that I want to address though, Mr. Cotton, is the last sentence of that, which is why I think the instruction is created separately for defendants, because it says, they're talking about this evidence, may not be used for any other purpose, and particularly you should bear in mind that a criminal conviction at some point, at some previous time, is not proof of guilt of the offense now charged. So that's why I think the instruction is drafted separately for defendants. So I just want to make sure that if I combine these and don't read that, that you understand that that's not being read to the jury then.
Right, that's our request.
Okay.
Right. Thank you.
I just want to make sure that the jury doesn't get confused then. All right. .247, instruction 247, verdict as to defendant only. And
We're
then-
fine. We're fine with that.
And 160 closing arguments, 460 closing instruction, and then 484 separate verdicts on each count. Any objection to any of those?
No, Your Honor.
No.
And then 515 unanimous verdict. Any objection to that?
I'm sorry, Judge, what number did you say?
515?
No, that's correct.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, obviously, the 525, it's going to depend completely on the verdict, whether that
Yep.
instruction is read. And then I had included 275, that's the one we modified and read to the jury earlier. Are you asking that I read that again?
Sure, yes.
No objection.
And I'll change it to, I had it in brackets, evidence has been presented.
Are you going to read it?
I need to find a new location for it. I think this would be an odd place to read it at the end.
Agreed.
So,
Perhaps in and around the credibility for prior convictions, like in that section?
okay. Right before or right after 325?
I think that makes sense.
Do you have a preference if it's before or after?
No.
All right, I'll put it before just because that happens to line up with where I'm at. All right, any other discussions that we need to have on the record about jury instructions?
Not from us.
No, Your Honor.
The proposed verdict forms, there's one verdict form for each count, both guilty and not guilty. Any objection to those as prepared?
No.
The state?
No, I have no objection.
All right. Do you need some time before we bring the jury in? Because it seems like right now we're prepared to have everybody rest, tell them that the objection on the exhibit is being sustained, and go straight into instructions and then closing arguments.
15 minutes was all we'll need.
All right.
That's fine.
I'm going to ask the bailiff to let the jury know it'll be another 15 minutes, and then we'll be ready to go. Thank you. We're off the record then. Thank you.